Hi, in this video, we're going to talk about how to get started with a knowledge-based project. So at this point, you probably realize there's something that you have to document. Most of our other videos usually talk about documenting a product, software product, usually a SaaS for users. But this video is about how to get started or doing a knowledge-based project of any kind. So as long as you want to create a body of searchable content explaining something, then this video is for you. How to get started, the basic principles or steps that you need to take in order to run a successful knowledge-based project. Without any further ado, I will get right into it. So step one is identify who needs to learn something and why. So who needs knowledge and why? So identifying who needs knowledge and why is a huge thing, because not only will you understand who you will be teaching and why they need to learn, but you'll also be understanding what it is they need to learn, because the knowledge component needs to be clear as well. And these three things will guide you throughout the rest of the process, because you will now know the context you need to put into any content that you end up creating, because maybe the why isn't clear to the audience itself, or it is very clear. And then again, these kind of understanding those three things will make so many other decisions much easier, i.e. where to build your knowledge base, or should you use a series of Google Docs in a Google Drive folder as your knowledge base, or should you create something like a WordPress site or use actual knowledge base software like HubSpot, Zendesk, and Intercom or other tools, or even Notion, right? These days I'm seeing Notion knowledge bases or wikis. And so who and why they need knowledge and what knowledge they need. And then the second step is identify categories and specific topics that fall underneath those categories of knowledge. So this is now basically understanding the knowledge that you need to be teaching to the people who need it. So you need to dissect it into different categories and then identify specific topics that fall underneath those categories that you've selected. And the key thing there is it's really simple. I think this is when you actually start engaging people who are knowledge experts. And so you, as somebody who is running the project, may not necessarily be the knowledge expert. For instance, you might be helping. For instance, in my case, we run a consulting agency where we help teams or different SaaS companies run documentation projects. And so oftentimes we're coming in as the technical writers or documenters and not the knowledge experts. So we need to engage the knowledge experts at this stage, where we start now saying, okay, well, what are really the three key topics underneath this knowledge of marketing within the context of your company, and what are specific things under marketing, or under those categories that need to be taught. And then once you have an outline, doing that process will come up with an outline. So step two creates an outline that guides the process of now gathering the raw knowledge or information that you'll be needing. And that's step three. So step three is when you gather the gather knowledge to help you end up drafting stuff. So this is where you conduct interviews with knowledge experts within around the knowledge that needs to be documented. So when you find existing content, has this been documented? Is there any documentation that currently exists? And you have people record calls, people maybe draft articles. So this is basically you engaging knowledge experts and understanding and extracting the knowledge for them. Now this stage or this step might actually involve you conducting similar things like interviews, having people record themselves screencasts, or submit written anything to you for the sake of better understanding what it is they need to learn. So you may complement engaging knowledge experts as step three with engaging the students or the people to be taught to better understand what it is they are not understanding. Because sometimes knowledge experts themselves, maybe let's say one example is, you may find that there's a sales team, right, that's not performing well, and so the managers are interested in building a knowledge base to make sure that their performance is great, but they feel puzzled as to what it is their sales team is failing to understand, right? They feel the management feels like they've taught and created sufficient content to the best of their ability, and now it may be your job to actually engage the sales agents who would be the students in this fake scenario of mine, and better understand what it is they need to learn. Step 4 is keep revising and expanding topics. So you need to spend some time, perfecting that, perfecting the outline every time you actually collect raw information from knowledge experts. So maybe let's say after getting all the according to the team you're working with, or the knowledge experts that you're working with, according to them, they've recapped all the information that they need to give to you over a 45-minute Zoom call. So you need to look at that Zoom call, whether in the moment or review it afterwards, to see if there are more topics or perhaps new categories even that need to be added to the outline to prompt for further discussion, and maybe hold separate interviews, or have the knowledge experts submit different article drafts for those new things that you've uncovered. And then again, sometimes some topics, some categories, some specific topics underneath the category might become irrelevant, right? And so then you need to actually take them off the table or confirm with the team if that should be taken off the table. So once you feel you're ready, draft and publish. So it doesn't matter what content or medium it is you're actually going to be publishing your content in. It could be article, video, maybe a song, who knows, right? Why not sing? And so whatever it is, once you feel like you have gathered all the raw information you need and you are in a good place to actually start drafting article, finalized forms of the searchable content that will be in your knowledge base, then you need to get started with that process. When you do that, you probably need to be drafting and then having knowledge experts that contributed knowledge review things and help polish. That's generally the best way to go about this. But in a nutshell, it's just you need to get done, you need to get going, and you need to involve people in reviewing your, the finalized content. And so the last thing that I want to mention is that you might want to stick to one category first as a prototype. So this is going to be my step 6 and the final step. And it's basically saying that when you are drafting the outline, which we spoke about earlier, of the knowledge base, you probably want to stick to the most important category and start that as your prototype to run the whole project. Because you learn different things about how much, the time that other knowledge experts actually have to dedicate to this project. And thus, once you start with a small category, you can manage your expectations better, especially in regards to the timeline of this project. And as you move on to other categories, already, after focusing on just one, how things will work and what's the best way to make things move forward. And lastly, very, very lastly, this is just a tip: do not document something that isn't valuable financially to you. So if you're documenting a project that just generally does not solve an important financial problem for your organization, then it's probably not going to take off, and you're probably not going to finish the project. And even if you do, you're probably going to do a poor job maintaining this knowledge base, which is work that has to come after the knowledge base is done. So I hope those tips and steps were helpful. I hope they can help you not only get started with your knowledge base project, but be guiding principles for any knowledge base project that you're looking to run. I trust that's really the 6 things that you need to keep in mind. As far as the effort goes, that's up to your team and you. But otherwise, I wish you all the best and good luck.